Well, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to let you know that the extended West family, not the adoptive parents of Orrin and Orson West, the 3 and 4-year-old boys who went missing from Cal City, California on December 21st of 2020, spoke out on ABC News on February 6th, 2021, to let the world know that they have been made targets in all this. Not from the authorities, but from the public. And it's not right. Now, not gonna lie, this is the second video I did about their brief statements made, which I will link in my description box in case you haven't seen it yet. Because as much as I understand that the family members who made the statements are older, the news names the woman as the boy's adopted grandmother, Wanda West, but does not give the man's name. And I'm sure they don't want to be included in all the attention that this case is receiving. I'm very irritated that they went on ABC News to say how difficult this has been on them, but made no plea for the safe return of the boys. Now, I want to make it very clear up front that I do not condone threatening or harassing innocent family members of crime victims. I think it's sick. But, having said that, I don't think the West family has exactly been busting their asses to even try to appear innocent. As a matter of fact, since the one and only interview we ever saw from Orrin and Orson's adoptive parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West, who also did not do any sort of elaborate plea for the boys' return, all we've heard from the West family is how they are such victims in all this. So, when I did my first video, it was based on my initial reaction after seeing Wanda West appearing to be concerned only for herself, and I was, shall we say, a bit ticked off. So, the gloves came off because I've had enough of their bullshit, and I went off in my video. Then I thought better of it and decided to re-record it and tone it down a bit. Not because I'm afraid of what people will think, but because this case is incredibly frustrating. Tempers are running hot, people are very irritated, and it's vital that we focus on what's really important, which is finding the boys. That's all that matters. So, I'm toning it down this time around, and I'm going to give my opinion about the statements made to ABC News, as well as about other aspects of this case. Now, you may be wondering exactly what I meant about the West family's bullshit. So, I'll elaborate. I'll start with Trezell and Jacqueline's impromptu interview that they wouldn't have even done if the boy's biological mother did not pound on their door, demanding answers about where her boys are. The only reason they did that interview was to try to save face because the boy's bio mom was accusing them of foul play. If not for her putting the heat on them that day, we may never have heard from them at all. We certainly haven't heard from them since. I watched that interview. I didn't hear any desperate pleas for the safe return of their baby boys. I didn't see horribly distraught parents who were exhausted from getting no sleep because they were desperately searching for their children. None of us did. All we got from them was a story that made little to no sense about the boys disappearing from their backyard, which the police have since disproven because the scent dogs did not detect the boys' scent outside of the home anywhere. Then we got a bunch of "oh poor us" because they claimed police wouldn't allow them to go search for the boys, which I find comical, since we've seen this video surveillance footage from their neighbor's home that shows Trezell's movements on the night they claimed the boys went missing. And he certainly wasn't doing a whole hell of a lot of searching for them during the time he was waiting for the police to arrive. He just stood in his front yard waiting for them. No running up and down the street, no pounding on neighbors' doors, no searching in the big open field next to their home. Nothing. You don't even see Jacqueline come out of their home to search for the boys at all. But they were so upset when the police wouldn't let them go search. Must have been awful. But they definitely used a good chunk of their interview time to divert the attention from them to the searchers by thanking them and saying over and over that police assured them that the best were out searching for their precious boys. Not that the best weren't out searching. As a matter of fact, many people jumped right on that search the night as soon as they heard the boys were missing. But boy, did they lay it on thick, how the police said the best people were out there looking, so they didn't have to be. Let me tell you something. If my kids were missing, police or not, I'm searching. They'd have to lock me up to keep me from searching. Then after that, nothing. Nothing. I've never heard that Trezell or Jacqueline has joined in any search party at any time to help look for their boys. Not once. Hundreds, if not thousands, of kind-hearted people who are worried sick about the boys have been taking a time away from their own children to search for hours on end, day and night. And I have not heard one searcher, not one, say they have seen Trezell or Jacqueline out searching. Funny, during their interview, Trezell said the boys were going to be in the area right around their home. I don't know how he'd possibly know that, but he said he knew. Well, then why aren't they there? Why weren't they searching that area for their sons? And why would they move out of their home if they knew that the boys were right there? And not only have I not heard anything about them searching, but I haven't heard any of the members of the West family helping in the search at all either. Not one. Why? Well, that would be because they claim they've received a number of threats since the boys went missing, so they can't search either. Because it's just not safe for them to do so, you know. And apparently, their safety comes before the safety of little 3- and 4-year-old boys who were trusted to the care of their family members and mysteriously disappeared. Understandable. I have a question. Since the extended West family is receiving so many threats that it's not safe for them to help search for the boys, does that mean that they're held up somewhere safe and they've been unable to live their normal lives? Just wondering. Because if that's the case, I find it quite odd, since both Trezell and Jacqueline have been seen out and about. Trezell walking his dog, and Trezell and Jacqueline shopping at a sex store. You know, 'cause it's the perfect time to spice up their marriage, since they have so much more time and privacy without any of their kids around. I guess I can't fault them for that. I suppose it would be stupid not to take advantage of the time your kids are missing and in the custody of Child Protective Services, which, according to ABC News, they still are. I don't know. Call me a prude, but if my babies were missing and I believed somebody took them and my other children were placed in foster care, I'm not sure that spicing up my marriage would be my first priority. 'Cause I think I might just be riddled with guilt that my children's lives were just torn apart because I wasn't careful enough to make sure it didn't happen. But that's just me. So, it's not safe for them to search for the boys, but it is safe to walk their dog and go shopping for items that could have just as easily been purchased online from any number of adult novelty shops, I'm sure, that would have ensured their privacy and safety. Okay, fine. BS. But I'll let them have it. So they can't search. Then why can't they do tons of news interviews from the safety of their home to plead for the boys' safe return? I haven't seen them do any. Have you? Maybe I'm being too hard on them. Maybe if the news would have shown up when they went shopping, they would have been happy to do a proper interview from the safety of the sex shop. Wanda West said to ABC News that they're being harassed in their own home. Isn't she Trezell's mother or something? If she's being harassed, wouldn't Trezell be concerned? Why isn't he on the news begging the public to leave his family out of it because they aren't involved? Why isn't he defending his family? Why did Wanda and the man she's with have to go on the news to say they're being harassed? Trezell and Jacqueline don't care about them either? Do they care about anything? Wanda told ABC News, quote, "Right now there are people outside the home talking about where are the boys." No offense, but that's harassment? People asking where are the boys? Interesting. Shouldn't she be asking the same question if she doesn't already know? I mean, she is their grandmother. Shouldn't she be talking with the people outside of her home, telling them that she wants to know too? Shouldn't she be joining forces with them? Hey, maybe she could even help them search. Just a thought. No offense to Wanda West, but if she must have lived a pretty privileged life, if people concerned about the welfare of children she claims she's also concerned about are asking her where the boys are, and she considers that harassment. It may be an inconvenience, but harassment? That's reaching. Maybe them chanting, "No boys, no peace," gets a bit annoying after hours of ignoring them and acting like she doesn't care about her grandsons. But really, the most it's affecting her is that she probably needs to turn up her television so she can hear her shows over the chanting. Because when you're not wasting time searching for the boys, you have so much more time to catch up on your shows. And before you even think of trying to defend her by suggesting that maybe she can't search because she's not in good health, don't even try it. She has no problem walking outside to record the people actually searching for the boys on her phone so she could threaten to call the police on them. Who's threatening who here? But if you insist that she's not well enough to search, fine. I'll concede it to you. But only if you concede to me that she had no problem appearing on ABC News to cry victim, so she could just as well appear on ABC News to get the word out about her missing grandsons and plead for their safe return. I will accept no less. So why isn't she doing it? Part of her "oh, poor me" statement to the news stated, quote, "It's like people don't realize we are grieving. We are hurting just like they are." Okay. How about you help us realize it, Wanda? How about you do something more to help find your precious grandsons than occasionally marching your not-so-happy ass outside just long enough to hold up your phone, make a video, and threaten the people who are actually trying to find the boys? Is that how you show you're grieving? Is that how you demonstrate just how hurt you are? Just asking. Because that would make sense, since Trezell and Jacqueline show how worried and scared they are by shopping for sex toys in public. Maybe all of us watching just don't understand how your family handles grief. After all, they do say people handle grief in different ways, so who are we to judge? I mean, Trezell's brother, Jamal Watkins, even made a statement during the news segment stating, quote, "It is misguided to blame uncles and aunts and grandparents for children who are missing that we love, care about, and are trying to find." Which I completely agree with, and would agree with in his family's case if they were making any attempts to find them. But from what I've seen, they aren't. They haven't done a damn thing but throw money at the problem that so far has accomplished nothing. So, if Jamal loves and cares about these boys so much, why isn't he on the news, keeping the boys' names in the forefront of everyone's minds and pleading for their safe return? He had no problem going on to say how misguided everyone else is, which may be even more true than we know. But I haven't seen him go on to raise awareness about this case at all. Isn't he a higher up in the NAACP? Isn't he the vice president of civic engagement? If so, then why isn't he getting the NAACP involved to help raise awareness about this case. I'm pretty sure they could do some damage pretty quickly if they wanted to make a ruckus about the boys. I'm not sure that you could get much better attention on this case than that organization could create. They're pretty big. I would think they'd be a great resource to have helping find his nephews. But I haven't heard that the NAACP is involved in this case in any way. Have you? I wonder if they're even aware of the fact that Watkins is the boy's uncle. I can't imagine the organization wouldn't take an interest in a case as important as finding these boys. So why isn't Jamal getting them involved? Why aren't they helping? It's been over a month since the boys went missing. So when he makes a statement like, "It is misguided to blame uncles and aunts and grandparents for children who are missing that we love and care about and are trying to find," I'm not so sure it is. Now, the kind of blaming and harassing I learned happened to the families in both the Chris Watts case and the Kaylee Anthony case was completely out of line and absolutely disgusting. In those cases, completely innocent family members were brutally harassed by complete and total psychos who couldn't tell the difference between innocent family members and family members who don't even try to appear innocent. Huge difference. The families in the Watts case didn't even live in the same state in which the murders were committed. Yet complete and total evil morons thought they were justified to go after them. And if you didn't get that Casey Anthony's parents were completely lied to by Casey for the entire month that Kaylee was missing before her mother confronted her about Kaylee's whereabouts and called the police, then I don't know what to tell you. We'll just have to agree to disagree about that one. But those poor people were just as in the dark as anyone else, and they were brutally harassed for it. And I'm not referring to any attempts that Casey's mother may have made during the trial to save Casey's evil, soulless ass. I mean in the beginning. But anyway, even though the West family may very well be completely innocent and have had nothing to do with the boys' disappearance, they sure aren't trying very hard to go out of their way to find them. So if aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. don't want to be falsely accused or so-called harassed, then maybe they should put their money where their mouth is and actually search for the boys they claim to care so much about and love, instead of just making excuses about why they can't. Especially when he says they are. Really? How? How exactly is Jamal and his family looking for the boys? I'd like to know. I call BS. Prove me wrong. Please. I'd love to be proven wrong. Then I'd have a reason to believe they aren't full of shit constantly. It's too much. Too much for too long. All talk, no action to find these boys that the family claims to care so much about. And I'm not just targeting the Wests. I'm talking about Jacqueline's family too. Where have they been? Anybody know? They may be searching and just not making their identities known. I don't know. But I certainly haven't heard them making tons of excuses why they can't search. If the Wests are being harassed, wouldn't Jacqueline's family as well? Or were they granted some sort of get-out-of-jail-free card that I wasn't aware of? I love how neither Wanda nor Jamal happen to mention that their family hasn't searched for the boys, though. Their only focus was on themselves and how mistreated they've been. I would have loved to hear Wanda spill the truth and say something like, "I know none of us are looking for the boys, but we don't want to be harassed about it either." Or, "We're not out there searching day and night like the volunteers are, but they shouldn't be questioning us about it either." I would have loved to have heard that. You know, the truth. But we didn't. We only got "oh, poor me." We didn't even get an "oh, poor Orrin and Orson." So, call me what you will. I don't condone the harassment of innocent family members of crime victims, but I don't mind the nonstop questioning of a family that has time to threaten the very people searching for the boys. time to shop for adult novelties while their children are missing and in CPS custody, time to walk their dogs, and time to make statements to the media about how victimized they are when they place their own needs and concerns above those of the real victims, a 3-year-old and 4-year-old, who, by the way, never asked for any of this shit. All they ever wanted, I'm sure, was to know that somebody gave a shit about them, which doesn't appear to be the case in that family, and that they wouldn't just up and disappear into thin air one day with no one being held accountable for it. So, you'll have to forgive me if my heart isn't exactly breaking for Wanda, Jamal, Trezell, Jacqueline, or anybody else in that pathetic excuse for a family. 'Cause questioning them when they look as suspicious as they do, in my book, is A-OK. If they're so innocent, then they can provide some answers to try to exonerate themselves. Then she won't be subjected to all the ruthless harassment anymore that is keeping her from concentrating on her TV shows. I have to say, she's real lucky she doesn't live here in Detroit. In the D, we have a different idea about what harassment is. But it sure doesn't involve asking a couple questions and chanting some things outside your home. Now, I want to make you aware of a YouTube video I found that was posted on February 6th on a channel called Ladyqueen Helping Hands. It is a news clip from ABC 23 News that is covering a completely disturbing story about the CPS in Kern County, California. It's a story about protesters trying to raise awareness about CPS abuses and kids for cash deals. Now, I don't know anything about this at all whatsoever, but the reporter says the group wants to raise awareness about foster parents who take in kids from CPS in exchange for federal title funding. A protester who was interviewed says the children involved in these kids for cash deals are not safe and are often removed from good, loving families only to be placed with foster parents who don't care about them, which is absolutely terrifying. It is a very short news clip, but I will link it in my description box if you want to watch it. Sounds a little too familiar, doesn't it? I really hope the protesters are wrong about that. I need to look into it more. I sure hope the West family gets the sympathy they're looking for after going on the news to focus primarily on themselves. After all, they are the only real victims in all this, according to them. Too bad the rest of us are also misguided, and we believe that Orrin and Orson, or Cincere and Classic, are the actual victims. Good thing they didn't feel too threatened to go on the news to clarify that for us. I don't know what we were thinking. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on my next video.